That's
I
the
saw the
problem.
hat. And I ain't gonna lie, it rubbed me the wrong way. There was a moment I had there where I
Uh-huh.
went, "What?" In which I have, yeah, exactly. And yeah, it caught me
Hmm.
by surprise how because we know that hat is synonymous with someone. I'm not mentioning his name, but
Uh-huh.
we know who represents that and what it had represented. And for those of
So
us,
after you hated me for like a minute, then what
yeah, well,
happened?
more like 2 seconds. Yeah.
2 seconds. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, not hated you, just wondering like why
My
the fuck she put
message.
that on?
Damn,
Why are you
Anita.
wearing that?
Yeah.
But but no, that should have been reserved because we talked about this on another show
Mm-hmm.
where we have to allow ourselves to talk to the other side of
Yes.
things. We can't just
We talked about
stay
having a
on.
civil conversation, and
Yeah.
for those of you who can't see it,
Yeah. Sorry.
it's a red hat,
Yes.
and of course, it's synonymous with Trump. I'll say his name, but
Yes.
on it, it says "Make your relationships great again."
Right.
So I put that up there, and I knew I would get some flack from people because right
Yes.
away they look at it and they think, "Oh my God, she must be a Trump supporter."
Right. Right. Of
And
course we did.
well, yeah, and some people kind of implied and wrote all kinds of stuff if you want to look at the post. But the whole point of it, and some people illustrated my point really well through their comments, was we make so many assumptions about people and so many judgments about people based on what we see, like this red hat,
Right.
sometimes without even reading what it says on the hat and what the post is really about, or the
That's true.
message. Right away, we are programmed.
Yes.
And I don't know if you watched the show last week on IG Live. I talked about how the programming takes place very quickly in
Right.
our brains, in our minds. So I brought Charlie for people who can't see Charlie, my friend Charlie. And I talked about the schemas we build on our in our minds when we're very young. And this generally happens in our formative years up until about 6, the age of 6. We have like file folders in our brain for things that we're exposed to. And that's actually really positive because we can make quick judgments about large bits of information. For example, when we see a car when we're really young, we don't have to think about, oh, eventually over time, oh, there's a bumper, there's are some lights, there's some doors. We automatically know that it's a car. So that helps us to come to a decision, sorry, about what we are looking at. Excuse me. Now, this works against us because we also use those judgments to have communications about things that maybe we don't really know, but we make assumptions based on similar characteristics. So we try to shove information into a file folder in our brain that doesn't really belong. It doesn't really fit, like this hat. Okay. So synonymous with Trump. And then people have a trouble kind of now relating it to some other message. And that was my whole point.
Good point. Point taken. I don't mean to
Right?
cut you off on that, but we
Oh,
have
no, it's
DJ
okay.
Bernardo, a little pressed for time, all the way from Canada.
Yes.
So we're gonna let him
Hello.
in. Hello, Bernardo.
Welcome,
Hi, Anita. How are
Bernardo.
you? I was just listening to you guys talk about that post with the hat. You
Yes.
caught me off guard, but I read it. I didn't judge. I read it
Okay.
first.
But what was your initial reaction to it? Like Gino had his, and a lot of other people did too.
Yes.
What was your initial reaction?
I think I understand marketing enough to know that red hats mean more than
Uh-huh.
Trump.
Right. Good. I'm glad.
With
And
that particular.
It's an attention grabber. It's an
of
attention
course,
grabber, and
yeah,
it works.
yeah.
It
So it's a
works.
Sure
play on
does.
words. It's a play on words.
Yeah,
It's
it
an
is.
attention grabber,
Yeah.
but also it was to illustrate my point about how we jump to conclusions and we make all kinds of
Yes.
assumptions about what
Yeah.
people, how people look, how they act, and based on the information we already have stored in our brain. And it takes some work to help alter some of that. Anyway, that's that. But welcome, welcome, welcome. You're our first caller today from Canada, and
Thank you.
I'm from Montreal. So please, what brings you to our show?
Well, we bumped into each other online, and
Yes.
we had, I guess, a mutual admiration for each other's work.
Hmm.
And I guess I'm just happy that you invited me on. And I mean, I'm not much of a radio listener, I guess you could say, with
Yes.
all the stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I have a funny feeling radio is gonna make a big comeback.
Well, we know F.M.P.
Good
radio.
answer.
Yeah, it's going to make a comeback. And I invited you on because you are my paisan from Canada.
Paisan.
That's
Paisan.
right.
And I
All
wanted
right.
you
Yes,
to
I am Italian.
Yeah,
I am Italian.
I
And
know.
I will say,
Montebello,
I am
tutti
Love
Italian.
frutti.
Italians.
All right.
And I wanted you to share, we
Yeah.
talked a little bit about it earlier, about COVID in Canada and then, of course, COVID here in the US and some of the assumptions
Yeah.
perhaps, Canadians are making
Yeah.
about the way Americans are handling it. I don't know. And then you also have the body mind connection because you do an amazing job. I checked out your Instagram page. And this
Thank you.
must have been,
Thank
I don't know, I want to ask you if it was driven by COVID, these classes that you do. And I reached out to you and I said, I'm in a working out rut. Help me, Bernard. What can I
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, I got you covered. I got you covered. So, well, initially,
Yeah.
COVID did a number on both of my careers because I'm a full-time DJ and a full-time personal trainer and class group instructor. So
Okay.
I
Awesome.
was, doing my gigs on the weekends,
Uh-huh.
and then I had group classes that I was teaching spinning and
Yes.
boot camps and kickboxing
Yeah.
and big believer in that. And I think it's been helping me to stay consistent because a lot of people, and I know there's going to be a huge demand.
Uh-huh.
There is right now a huge demand for once we went into our second lockdown
Yes.
and Christmas was over.
Yes.
So like people were okay with Christmas because the weather, it's cold. You guys in Chicago know that, but I knew
we
the
do.
minute January was going to come,
Yeah.
I knew depression was going to hit.
Yes.
So trying to reach out and help as many people as I can. I think I come from a family of people that just do a lot of community work. So my way of kind of like reaching out and also helping myself,
Yes.
because when you give yourself a routine,
Yeah.
it helps you create I guess structure, and then that structure creates the consistency and the repetition, and that's eventually what gives you results.
Yes, absolutely. And
So
that's a really good point. Sorry for interrupting you. I want to make
no,
is
no,
that
no, go ahead.
during COVID, when I was working with people
Yes.
during, over FaceTime and Zoom, one of the things I said
Yeah.
to them, okay, it's time to get out of your pajamas and leggings and have some routine
Exactly.
that you
Amen.
get up and you get dressed.
Please.
Yeah.
Routine. So,
Yes.
yes.
So what I tried to do is, and I knew that COVID or what's going on was going to change things in many ways. So
Yes.
I needed to rebrand myself
Mhm.
and still try to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Traction that I had, people already knew me as DJ Bernardo.
Mhm.
So I rebranded myself as DJ Bernardo Fitness.
Mhm.
And in doing so, I got the logo done. I got some T-shirts printed, and the T-shirts were printed, and I'm selling them, but not to make any money. The other thing, remember when I told you I had family members that were in community work? My sister, who's not with us anymore,
I'm sorry
but
to
she's
hear
with
that.
me. She
Yeah,
passed
sorry to
away
hear
in
that.
2013.
Yes.
Thank you. She passed away in 2013, and she is a great Canadian woman. Disabled woman who she changed the landscape of Canada. She changed for disabled women and disabled women's rights, helping disabled people in general have more access to. And she always spoke about America and how great you guys had accessibility. People in wheelchairs have more accessibility.
Yes.
So she was a big fighter for those rights and advocate. And well, no, she was a fighter. I'm
Fighter
not
and
gonna joke.
advocate.
Like
Yeah.
she literally chained herself to our subway system back in the 80s. Got arrested to the chagrin of my parents, and an Italian family, 3 Italian boys with a girl, and it's the girl that gets arrested. So that was a little bit of
Wow.
a curveball.
Yeah.
But she inspired all of us,
Mhm.
and she continues to be my inspiration. So printed these T-shirts, selling them, and the money's gonna be going to an organization that eventually is gonna set up a scholarship in her name, and it's gonna help disabled women continue their education. So I tried to take this negative stuff that's going on and flip it upside down and make something positive. So do the online classes. I knew there was going to be a demand. I average maybe about 10, 15 people per class online. But then on playback, a lot of people send me messages and they say, oh my God, I can't get the class, so I have them just like you. I have them all on my IGTV.
Yeah.
So I record a class. Sometimes I mess up and I muck up the recording because I forget to hit.
That's okay.
It's not even record. You know what I'm talking about.
That's okay.
So on IGTV, it's not perfect. And I also got to be careful with the music that I choose because they're so picky with what you're playing. They can block you.
Yep.
They block you
So luckily, I'm heavily into the 70s, and it seems like old disco and remixed versions of some Eminem songs.
Yeah, I've watched. I watched some of your workouts.
They kind of like I can sneak it in, and they haven't blocked me so far. So God bless. I'm able to help a few people, even if I help one motivate, stay focused. And then I do a Q&A right after that. So it's not just a class.
Yeah.
So they ask me questions about rehab. A lot of times they have injuries, nagging injuries. So I give them tips and pointers on rehab. And
so how
get those.
Can I ask you, how are you now coping? Because my family's also in Montreal and I have family in Ontario and the lockdown. How are you? Because we're pretty much open here in the U.S. Most states, Wisconsin especially.
We know you're open.
And we have all vaccines. How are you coping now?
I know that Canada's been getting a lot of flack for the lockdowns. And I'm a little bit in the middle. Look, I lost both my jobs.
I'm sorry to hear
so
that.
I know, but you know what? It's about the greater good. And I know there's a lot of people that are, alarmists, and they're, you got the anti-vaxxers, and everybody's allowed. Well, everybody's allowed to feel what they feel, and I'm okay with that. But I think our federal government failed to procure enough vaccines to get it going. You guys did a great job of that, and you're doing a great job of rolling it out. You guys are pumping out 2.5 million per day. Sure. I think we're at 2 million.
Yeah, and once once we are all vaccinated, my hope is that we will then sell the vaccines to Canada and everybody will be vaccinated.
Well, you sent us the AstraZeneca that you guys didn't want. You sent us the blood
clotting.
The wrong ones.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I think the greater good is that. In some situations, like Ontario right now, they're in a real mess.
Yeah, they are. And I have
you have family there, right?
I have family in Waterloo, and I have a son in Toronto. And I'm thinking about
it's
the negative.
It's really happening. Like and it's tough. So I know they had we here in Quebec. I think they were a bit more strict with the lockdowns earlier on, and I think it kind of maybe slowed things down. I'm not a scientist. But I'm just looking at the facts.
It's okay. Yeah.
And the facts here in Montreal or in Quebec, we're a little bit better off than they are in Ontario. Yes, we have lockdowns right now. They set us back to 8:00.
Yeah. Curfew. That would never happen. We'd have anarchy.
I know.
If that happened,
so we're hoping the numbers just went down. We're hoping they're gonna alleviate that. Especially with the summer coming, we need to get out. So
we need to get out. Okay, so sorry to cut you off, but I'm going to ask you: how has that impacted your relationships? Part of the show is talking about some relationship stuff. How has it impacted your relationships?
Well, I think the internet. Thank God for I get, I'm sure Facebook is making a ton of money. Instagram is making a killing.
Social media, Zoom.
Who even knew what Zoom was?
Should have bought stock in Zoom. What were we thinking
about?
OnlyFans.
Yep.
So I think relationships are being maintained via internet. Yes. I mean, I study martial arts and I teach martial arts also. So that's been a bit of a challenge because we can't hit each other.
Right.
Well, you have a punching bag. I've seen that on your videos.
Yes,
so we all need a punching bag. It's very cathartic, right?
Well,
we need to get a punching bag, hang it downstairs in the base somewhere, make sure it's secure, and start punching that stuff away. Well, I know you have a class to teach, so thank you so much, Bernardo, for calling in.
It was really nice speaking to you. Hopefully we can do an IG Live together.
Yes, we can.
I think we have a lot more to talk about. And it was really cool. I didn't get your colleague's name, the gentleman who...
Gino. He is the master of all of this. I just sit around and talk. Wow. He makes it all happen.
Gino, that's a very Italian name.
Well, that's not my government. That's my nickname. because my
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
Latin, so my full name is Gennaro, which is Renato in Spanish. No one could ever pronounce
Renato.
it, so my mother said, just use Gino. It'll work
It'll
better.
be easier.
So everyone
Yeah,
knew
for sure.
Gino better.
And it'll get you in with the Italians too. So you're all
Always,
good.
every time I meet an Italian, they're right away, Gino. Hey,
We
then
love
I go, no, I'm Puerto
you.
Rican, and
So
they go,
if you don't
oh,
mind, Anita,
Yeah.
I'll give myself a little plug. DJ Bernardo
Yeah, sure. Go
Fitness or
ahead.
DJ Bernardo on
hey,
Instagram. If you guys
awesome.
want to jump in,
Yes.
Yes.
tonight 7 p.m. on Mondays,
Okay.
and I'm on local TV on Thursdays at 8 p.m. But
Yeah.
that's
And the
Italian
classes are
local TV.
awesome.
So
The
that's,
Yeah,
classes
we'll
are
check
awesome.
you out, DJ
I appreciate
Bernardo.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate
Anita, we'll
it.
stay in touch. It
Yes,
was
we'll do an
nice
IG
talking.
live
Continue
together.
doing your work. You're
Thank
amazing,
you.
Anita. You're
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
Oh, that's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Always
DJ.
appreciate the love. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
All
There's
right.
a friend from Canada. Yeah, it's a different situation
Yeah.
in Canada with the COVID.
Canada, eh?
Canada, yeah.
Eh?
There's no way we'd have a curfew here and everybody would go crazy in the
Right.
US. But yeah,
Yes.
interesting on how, he saw the post and he was able to see that I was it's a play on words. And of course, it was a form of getting people's attention. And yes, it did get some people's attention.
Yeah.
Some people kind of fell for it and some people didn't.
I hope you guys can hear us on Instagram Live. I turned
is
the
it
audio
working
up
now?
after I realized it was off.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you caught us, but thank you for joining us on IG. We're
Thank
also on
you.
YouTube.
Hey.
If you want to call in like Bernardo did from Canada, it's 872-256-2017, 872-256-2017. And we're talking relationships and all things, anything with Anita. She's pretty open to talk with anyone.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Sure.
So I do have a question that was sent
Okay.
in to me. Unless you want to talk more about the post, Gino. I don't know. Well,
N-
people
uh,
can ask.
Do we
but-
about the
assumptions and the red hat. I know you don't. Can I leave the red hat in the studio? Or
Yeah.
No?
No, that goes home with you. You leave enough shit here
Can
as
I
it
leave
is.
Charlie
If
here?
you well, I'll put it this way: if you're gonna leave something, take something, because you're
okay.
getting worse than
I'm
my
taking
kids.
it home. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
you got your shoes here. Now you're gonna have
Seriously, only
It's
if
like,
my
what the
shoes and the studio is so big, always
Yeah.
busting on me. Okay, so I have a question
All
that
right.
came in last week from one of my friends' followers about fetish, and we love
Sure.
to talk about fetishes and sex and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I know some people laugh at this, the foot fetish and all that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
cute, blah, 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 blah. But on a very serious level, and I've talked about this before in my IG live. So it's a comment and a question from a 20-year-old. Okay. He gave me permission to talk about it,
Sure.
not mentioning any names. So it could be anyone. So the 20-year-old who lives at home still, you watch some of my episodes on fetishes and podophilia in particular, which is a foot fetish. It is the most common fetish. And you guys know, you see my feet on my Instagram. I don't have a foot fetish. You can watch one of my IG lives. I'm not going to repeat on why my feet appear. So what happened to this young person is that when he was younger, he was being babysat by his cousin, often babysat by his cousin. And his cousin, what she would do to him is that she would shove her foot down his mouth. She would shove it like repeatedly, and he never thought anything of it. He thought, oh, she's being kind of, wrestling. When you're young, and he never told his mom or anybody about it, but she repeatedly did this to him, which is really kind of abusive. But she, at that time, so she did it for a couple of years, and he was going through puberty and maturation. And, at some point it became associated and connected to arousal, so he would do this and she would do this to him. He'd have an erection. And if you guys have listened to my stuff before, the cognitive behavior explanation for why some people have a fetish to certain body parts, like the foot, is that and it happens on an unconscious level, when we're coming into our sexuality, and we might not even know it, that something is paired with our sexuality. So with podophilia, it's the foot. So for this, child, clearly that's what happened, and he can remember it clearly, and he
Wow.
can explain it to me because, he shared all this information with me.
Sure.
But at 20 years old, he hasn't told anyone. He's so ashamed and so embarrassed. And he said to me, should I tell my mother? He lives with his family. Because he's saying his mom has beautiful feet, but doesn't get more into it than that. But that's kept him from having relationships with women. Period.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, we can think this is cute, but on some level, it is paralyzing to some people, and that's the side that we don't hear about much because there's so much shame and guilt around this. So once we get over the cuteness and giggling or whatever, there are people who are seriously impacted by this. It starts to affect their social functioning, emotional functioning, relational functioning, and sometimes vocational functioning. And I say to people, if it starts to interfere with these aspects of your life, then yeah, you need to get some help. So when he wrote to me and I helped to say, okay, within the context of what happened to you, it totally makes sense. You're not some weirdo, you're not a pervert or any of these things. Because sometimes when people have a fetish, other people see that as being weird or,
Yeah.
some kind of pervert. So I was kind of sad, but I was glad that he shared it with me. He'd never shared it with anybody else. And I encouraged him to share it with his mom. I thought, and he asked me, is it appropriate? I'm like, well, there's no other woman. You live with her and you want to tell her, but make sure you tell her about what happened to you. She's probably going to feel guilty. As a mom, I would, that I didn't know that your cousin was doing this to you, your babysitter. So I just want to say that I just want to normalize that.
Sure.
And he's not hurting or abusing
Nothing wrong.
anyone.
Yeah.
So.
And let's see. Well, we have a
And
caller.
Thank you for sharing with me.
We have a caller that's been parked while you've been doing this,
okay.
and he's pretty familiar with us here. Let's bring in Tim
Is
Weber.
it Tim?
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh yes.
Hi,
Oh
Tim.
yes.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. But I just want to start off with, that's a really good point, is what you're saying about the shame.
Yes.
That's what the biggest problem is. Yeah, it is like, you can make jokes and everybody's got these fetishes and all this thing. But at the end of the day, it is like, in this day and age, there's a lot of stuff that people are ashamed of.
Yes.
And they're embarrassed to talk about. And this goes back all the way back to guys again, and the whole thing we always talk about with men opening up about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where in the past, this is like something you would never talk about. This is like something like, say, even back in the 80s or 90s, like, imagine like going to your father and saying, "Oh, I have a foot fetish." He's going to be like embarrassed, and it just would never happen. Where now, I feel people are getting more comfortable, like you're saying, normalize it. And have that conversation with your mother.
And that's some of the reasons I cover these topics and talk about them, because everybody's so ashamed and embarrassed to talk about them. And it's not fun for this kid to have this. You can joke, like you were saying, tease about it and so forth. It's not fun. And he didn't ask for this to happen to him, by the way. This was forced on him, and then it got paired in his brain. That's what happened. And then he's so ashamed and embarrassed about it. So yes, of course, bringing light to these issues, and particularly, it's men having so much, and I hear that often about whatever it is, there's so much shame and embarrassment. There was another post.
Guilt, shame.
Yeah. And I think you and I had
all of it.
Yeah, all of it. You and I touched upon it a little bit. We had a conversation through DM about, somebody had shared that they had lost somebody. Well, it was their mom, and it's been 5 years, but they were so uncomfortable with still feeling sad about it. And I thought, well, wait a minute. And they said, I haven't cried. I'm like, what? Okay, let's start over here. You lost your mother. So, of course, you're going to cry and you're going to miss her. And it's okay to embrace that process of grief rather than trying to not think about it or feel it. Because he was trying to protect his wife, because they were very close and she was sad and crying, and he wanted to protect her. But in protecting her, he was really doing a disservice to himself, because his grief was stuck. Imagine for 5 years that you don't cry for your mom.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God.
Right. Well, think about this kid. This kid, he's what, 20 years old, reaches out to you, sends you a message. If he didn't even see that or reach out to you, he would have just buried that deep inside and dealt with it the rest of his life, and never probably said anything to anyone. That's the thing, is people just bury this stuff inside. And what you're doing is exactly, it's normalizing it, being like, it's okay to talk about. It's okay to bring this up with someone you trust, someone that's going to be open and honest about it. It's so important. It's beyond
And I always say it's a privilege for me, because people say, how do you listen to all this stuff all the time? I'm like, I don't think of it as a burden. It's a privilege to me that people bring their lives to me, and things that they're not able to say to other people. And my goal really is to help men in particular to talk about the things that they're most uncomfortable to talk about, which for me as a woman, and of course as a therapist, are like, okay, you lost your mom. Of course you're going to be sad. But I can say that as a woman and as a therapist. But I think for a lot of men out there, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment, even with that. And the grieving process, has a time, and we can't skip it, because people try to say, well, I'm not going to to talk about it. I'm not going to think about it. And I'm not going to look at any of her pictures. And that's what this gentleman had shared. Like, they can't even look at her picture. I'm like, okay, you need to look at her picture and you just need to cry because she was your mom and you lost her. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend
True
that
that.
just lost her dad, like suddenly.
Yeah.
She lost her dad, and she has so she lives like in Hollywood, and her dad lives like in Long Beach, but she has a mentally challenged sister, younger sister that lives at the house. And then, so she has to do all this stuff, deal with her sister because her dad passed away, trying to figure out what's going to go on now.
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of her sister? Her mom had left them. The mom's coming back. It's like this whole thing.
Yes.
But the conversation I had with her was, listen, I know you're dealing with all this stuff, but you need to make sure that you take the time to grieve.
Of course.
Because I know you're thinking about your sister. You're thinking about your mother. You're thinking about your uncle. You're thinking about everybody else.
But yourself.
But you need to take that time to grieve, because if you don't, it's going to be there, and it's just going to be like in your belly, and it's just going to stay with you.
Yes,
until,
it stays in your gut.
You have to, otherwise.
It stays.
Yeah, and you're not letting it out.
Yeah.
And it's like toxic. It's going to be this toxic that's going to weigh on you. You're not going to know what it is.
Yeah.
But you have to find time to grieve.
And I think for this person, it was not even identified as such until I said, well, could it be it's because your mom died and you haven't grieved for her? And it was like the light bulb moment of, oh, okay. I do kind of feel depressed about that. And the stages of grief, are denial, shock, anger. There's a bargaining phase when the person is still alive. There's depression and sadness. And, we don't work out that sadness. It turns into depression. And the last stage is acceptance. And these stages are fluid. It's not like we go through one in order. They're fluid and they
it doesn't even happen. You're right.
It doesn't happen in order.
Everybody grieves differently.
They grieve differently, but we go through these stages. They're fluid and they take time. And you can't skip them. That's all, that's my message for anybody who's lost somebody recently. And with COVID, we've had a lot of grief to deal with somebody who's, somebody has died in their family. And I know Gino.
Well, also with COVID, which is really hard, is the funeral. They're not having your normal funeral.
Yeah.
You're not even, stuff is getting pushed off and people aren't able, you're not having the normal, say a wake or a funeral or burial. You're not having that.
And these are rituals that help
closure
us.
that you really need.
Right. And they're rituals that help us to accept the loss that's occurred and work through the grieving process with us. Okay, Tim, thank you so much for calling in. You are our number one fan.
The last thing I got to say.
Go ahead.
I got one more thing to say. Is the best thing about you, though, is the fact that you come on like this platform or your IG Live. It doesn't even matter if you talk to somebody. The fact that there's a listener out there that might hear something that they can identify with, you're helping that person.
Thank you. That's my goal.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Tim.
And that's what it is.
Thank you. And that's my goal. Thank you for always supporting and always calling in and supporting my posts.
Always good to hear you, Tim. And good to see those.
Papa Gino.
And good to see those Back to the Future pics, bro.
That's right, man. You know it.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Later.
I love that you appreciate.
Yes, always, Joe. Always.
Bye.
Always.
Thank you,
All right,
you
Tim.
guys are the best. You guys are the best.
Thank
Keep kicking ass.
Later. All right, that was Tim Weber, guys. I know there's calls coming in. We apologize for those that we cannot take at the moment. The lines are back open, though. 872-276-2017. I know we missed like 4 calls. So
come on, call back.
Go ahead and call back, guys. We'll be glad to take your call live. We just we have one line at a time. Yeah, unfortunately. But we want to get you all in. So go ahead and call. Don't worry. We're here for you. We ain't going anywhere. We'll take them. Here comes one right now.
Call from
Paul.
To accept, press.
All right. So we got Paul coming in. Paul, how's it going, Paul?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, good to hear you, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for
calling
in.
I made it.
Oh, thank you.
You got through.
Yay. Thank you for being patient.
Yes.
I said I was going to call earlier, and then I didn't, and then I had some time, so
that's
here
okay.
I am.
You're here now. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well, ma'am. Yourself?
I'm doing well. And thank you for always supporting my posts, Paul. You always comment. And
I love all your posts.
Very insightful comments. And the one today, how did you feel about it?
Well, at first blush, and then I read some of the comments. that everybody was like, oh no, she's a Trump supporter. Therefore, she's evil, and it just played in exactly to the point you were trying to make.
Exactly.
Assumptions.
Well, some people got it, some people didn't.
Yeah, well, I got it. Some people didn't, though, like you said.
Right.
But I think your response to me was absolutely true. You know, the assumptions can be made in relationships, and but for somebody to change, it takes willingness, and a lot of times that's hard to come by because change. Often, the impetus of change is that admitting that you're wrong, and people don't want to do that, even in relationships when they're trying to.
And I really, Paul, I really try to encourage people, drop those words like right or wrong, really to think about them as, we have different beliefs about different things related to, our schemas, which I talked about last time, the folders in our brain and what we've learned about different things in our lives. We tend to file them away that we've learned that we file them away. And when we have somebody in our life who thinks differently, then we need to create a new file or amend the file that we have so the relationship can work better. And my whole thing was on the assumptions is that we make a lot of assumptions in relationships about what the other person is thinking and feeling. And then we need to stop doing that because it's detrimental to the relationship.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I can completely agree with that too. And a lot of those assumptions are based upon how we would feel, how we would handle a given situation, and not putting ourselves in their proverbial shoes. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's a very good point that you're making. We project our own shit. Excuse the term. Can be potty mouth sometimes. Okay. we project our own shit onto other people without recognizing that it's actually ours and not theirs. So stop projecting and start rejecting. But you can only do that once you actually know what your projections are and own them. Own your shit, and then you can reject other people's shit, and then we can move on from there.
Yes.
All these things are related.
That's true.
All my stuff. Thank you for calling in, Paul. I appreciate your input and your time.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't make it sooner, but I'm glad I made it. Anita, you're a rock star.
Oh.
I think you will be the next Oprah.
Thank you.
And I'm glad I'm glad I found you via IG. There's so many fakes and fucking scam artists on IG. It's unbelievable.
True that.
But you're the real deal, man.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are the real deal, man.
Thank you for always supporting, and I always appreciate your insightful comments. Have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate
it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right. That was Paul, guys. Sweet. And there was another caller call back in. Sorry that we're not able to get you right away, but just go ahead. The lines are back open, 872-256-2017. Talk with Anita. Yeah. So that's wow, those relationship issues, huh?
Assumptions, right? Yeah. Assumptions, we all make them. And he made a really good point about, bringing the topic of projection. And assumptions are often based on our projections, what we are actually thinking about the situation and not what the actual person is thinking or feeling about it. And for those of you who don't know what projection is, it is really something that we perceive as coming from the outside when it's really coming from us, our inside. It is something that we are thinking and we are feeling. And generally it happens on an unconscious level. That's why we project it, because we are uncomfortable with that thought or that emotion and we repress it. But it's in our unconscious mind that it kind of makes us do other things. We have a caller?
Yeah, let's see who we have here. We got a caller in. Hello, caller. You're live on the air.
Hey, hi. Yes, my name is Tyrone. How are you today?
Good, Tyrone. How's it going?
Hi, Tyrone.
Hi, how are you? Anita, I love your platform. I follow you everywhere, IG, YouTube, and I finally got a chance to get in contact with you.
Welcome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. I'm calling in. I just wanted to say something. The previous caller before, he was talking about grieving. And for myself, I lost my parents, both my parents, in 2017.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And at that point, I thought I was able to handle that.
Yeah.
And I thought I was just this Superman. I always had this philosophy: was Clark Kent Superman or Superman Clark Kent? Because I never took off my cape.
Sure.
Which is exhausting, by the way, to always wear the cape.
It sure is.
It's very exhausting. And at that point in time, I was helping people unload their baggage when my baggage was getting full.
Yes.
And so finally, when I did decided to talk, nobody wanted to listen. So I got very uncomfortable with that. I shut down. And like I said, but during the COVID, 2020 was a lot to process.
Yes.
And during that time, I did a lot of soul searching, and I did a lot of, I just, looked into my character defects, and it really helped me out a lot with a lot of things and stuff like that. But it could be a little bit more deeper for me because I'm also a veteran, so I was in the Gulf War, so I was dealing with a lot of things with that too. Also.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
Appreciate
but I just wanted to, to say that, and like I said, I appreciate you. Your platform. I'm always going to be a follower, and thank you so much for everything, you guys. Stay safe out there, please.
Thank you.
Thank
but
you.
I do want to share with you, Tyrone. You talked about the loss of your parents, and it wasn't really that long ago, right? I think 2017. You said.
Yes,
so
that is correct.
I hope that now you are comfortable. You're sharing it on here with me, and I've seen that you commented on my video that I posted about grief and men expressing their grief and working through their grief, that I hope that you are now starting to, if you haven't already, talk about it with someone that you can trust, because it does take time. We can't skip over it, like I said, and it's important to work it through so we don't get stuck in a depressive state, because we all have to deal with grief at some point with the loss of our parents. But we need to work it through. And as a male, I know that men, as you said before, feel you have to wear your cape all the time, but take that cape off. It's okay. You don't need to wear it all the time.
For real.
I know. Tell me about it. I'm gonna put my glasses back on.
Yeah.
But
Take
thank
the cape
you so
off.
much. I really appreciate
Okay.
Put my glasses back on.
Yes.
Thank you all so much, and be safe, everybody.
You too,
Thank
Tyrone.
you,
Thanks
Tyrone.
again.
Thank
all right.
you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
That was Tyrone, you guys. Chris called as well while Tyrone was on. Sorry, Chris, we didn't get you, but feel free to call back now. Lines are back open, 872-256-2017. And we will get you in.
Yeah,
we will get
Gino
you
is the
talking
master.
live. I am here. Yeah.
So you see,
she got me working.
I got you working. So the commonality, I'm listening to. There's a thread of with all these callers. I appreciate all the love. Is that there's this very difficult in talking about what we think and what we feel, and particularly related to loss and for men. And with COVID, we did, you have the real loss where people have died, but we've also experienced, and we don't hear much about it, is actually anticipatory grief for people who haven't actually lost somebody to COVID. The way that we lost the way we used to live our life, right? Freedom. And I'm always reminded of that when I get into the store and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not wearing my mask because I'm still forget that. But that is also anticipatory grief. I did feel sad for a while. I think I'm over it now, that I couldn't have that life anymore where I could just walk around, don't worry about masks. And I remember, having this conversation with my daughter who also went through this. I identified it as such because I'm a clinician, I can't help it. She went through her school orientation and she came back really sad. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, oh, Mom, school is going to be so depressing. I don't know why I feel so sad about it, but it's because of all the new rules and regulations that she was going to have to follow. And really what she was experiencing was anticipatory grief.
Anticipating what's coming.
Yeah, and she lost the life that she used to have, like a lot of us have.
Right.
And then we don't know what to call it. And I hope it's called anticipatory grief. And some of us are still going through that.
Sure.
But hopefully, we'll be over that soon with
I think I get that now. Like
and so forth.
My uncle died at 46, right?
Yeah.
So he went to sleep, didn't wake up. So I have this in the back of my mind, and I find myself sometimes thinking I have to talk myself out of it, like what's gonna happen I'm 41 now. I'll tell my age, I don't care. But so when I'm thinking to myself, what's gonna happen to me at 46?
Yeah, so you're gonna die.
Or am I gonna have the same problem? So I get you like that. I anticipate, and I'm like, what am I? This is your life. You're not gonna you're not destined to have that same thing happen. But but it happens. We think of it. It can get in our mind. It can bring me down for a little while, and then I'll get back off it. But I get that. I get that whole the anticipation part of things.
Yeah, because we don't know, and that causes a lot of anxiety. And when we don't know, because with most things we know there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
And really, when we were going through this, we're in the middle of it, but we didn't see an end because, researchers didn't know, scientists didn't know. They were trying to figure it out.
Right.
So we would get one piece of information, then we get another piece to contradict that other piece of information.
Right.
And that's not intentional. We're just learning, right?
Sure.
But that causes a lot of anxiety and anticipatory grief.
And we're still in the middle, and no one sees an end to this, right? They're saying the numbers are spiking again, and things can be back on a rebound where it's going to be worse. And then I hear this it's always going to be worse the second time around. And there's this big buildup again to maybe how people went crazy and bought all the toilet paper up last year and fighting over the last roll of tissue. So I mean, humans are very interesting creatures.
But I'm very hopeful. I'm promoting the vaccine. I think everybody should get vaccinated, but of course it's your right not to, because we have to have the freedom to choose. So I'm very hopeful.
We reach herd immunity, we'll be good.
And which is supposed to be late August and September. So that's going to be hopefully back to a normal way of life.
I hope so too. Whatever the word normal's the word normal's going to be. It's different.
Yeah, so I don't have to forget my mask.
Are you going to go back in the movie theater?
I will, and I'm actually I love going to concerts, sporting events, and I cannot wait for the next one. And I think one of my friend's followers posted that he had gone to a baseball game. And I thought, wow, things we took for granted. That I'm never going to a baseball game.
I know,
it's so boring. Now I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to baseball.
Let's go to one. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's literally.
So it'll make us appreciate life on a very different level when we're able to go out to a public venue, such as a concert or basketball, baseball, whatever. Right?
Yes, indeed.
So the lines are free?
The lines are free. Go ahead, guys. 872-256-2017. Don't get discouraged because we couldn't get you in the first time. I think we got another caller here too. This one, we know this guy. He's normally on the show. Yeah.
Stamp.
Stamp.
Oh, Stamp. Brother Stamp.
What's up, brother?
Hey.
Good to hear from you.
What's happening?
Hi.
Y'all forgive the technical difficulties while I'm not staying down, but
it's all right.
I was actually hearing y'all talk about the COVID shot and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just saw that I think it was Charles Barkley, Barack Obama, and somebody else talking about how it's perceived in the African American community. You know what I mean? And just telling them it's okay to take the shot because we all skeptics anyway,
right?
When it comes to it, but they were talking like good things about it, and it kind of kind of twisted my view a little bit on it, somewhat. You know what I mean? But
all right.
Definitely, man.
So you leaning more toward the side of possibly getting it?
So you
possibly.
So Stamp, you're uncomfortable with getting it right now because you feel there's not enough research on the effects of it longitudinally?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am uncomfortable with getting it regarding the research.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I had to sit back and think about it too. It is COVID-19, so they had to have a 1 through 18 before it got to 19.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So they've probably been working on some stuff for a while. So, I mean, I'm leaning towards it though. You know what I mean? I am COVID. Look, I am COVID free STAMP, but you know what I mean? Just that extra measure.
Just
may work.
Right.
I'm promoting the vaccine. I've had both shots, and I haven't grown a third nipple that I know of yet.
Same here.
And my daughter, who's 17, just got the Pfizer second shot, and knock on wood, nothing. She's doing great. So the whole families were vaccinated.
Nice.
Except for my son, who's in Canada.
Definitely.
As soon as he crosses over, he's coming home and he's going to get the vaccine.
Okay.
So,
Well.
Yeah, that is definitely what's up, man. It's a lot to actually think about and consider because I know last time I got a flu shot, I got super sick. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
some
it's like
people
I just did it. So,
some people have a reaction. But even with the Johnson & Johnson, they came out with that blood clot. But look at the statistics, okay? over 6 million people had the vaccine. We're talking about 6 people who had a reaction to it. If you do the math on that, that's a very, 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 very small number.
Right.
People get reactions to all kinds of things generally in society. So, and I'm not minimizing the value of the lives of those 6 people because I think one died. When it's your child or your sister or whatever, it's horrible.
It's not meant in
but
that
statistically speaking, your chances of getting sick are very, very
I mean,
low.
and if you look at the statistics of anything, you know what I mean, you are more likely to die walking down the street.
Yeah,
sure.
With, you know what I mean, like certain things.
For real.
It's like, okay, so everything is a toss up, and I've been looking into it. And just hearing them speak about it and just doing some more research, like I'm like, maybe let's see what's to it, you know what I mean? And I don't know, but it was tripped out to just hear y'all speaking about it and not be able to like, hold on, I got something to say right on the Zoom.
Right.
But I definitely needed to call in and say that I am on the fence on that one. Like I'm more on the side of might be getting it. And then I could really say COVID free.
Well, at least you're getting closer to the yes than the no.
And you're thinking about it, so which is awesome. Thank you.
All right, Stamp. Let me go ahead and get this call, brother. Good to hear from you.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Y'all do y'all thing, man.
Later, bro.
Bye.
All right.
Call from
Chris.
Oh.
Okay. Hello, Chris. You are live on the air with Ask Anita Astley. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. Is this Gio?
This is Gino.
Gino
yes,
the
it
master.
is.
Hey, long time no hear.
All right.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
Great.
awesome.
Thank
How
you.
are you, Chris? Thank you for supporting always.
You better believe it. I'm good. I'm just waiting for snow.
Oh, God,
what?
no.
Stop.
You guys
Don't
are
say that.
sending me snow, aren't you? On
You
the
can
fly.
have
That's
it.
what you're doing.
Well, we're getting it.
Yeah,
We're
Tuesday.
gonna have it tonight into tomorrow, and
Yeah.
believe me, you can have it. Where are you calling from, Chris?
Oh, man. Oh, so I'm calling from St. Joseph, Missouri.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So Missouri. Yeah, it's gonna go down your way. You
Yeah.
can have it. We don't
Keep
need
it.
that.
We don't want it,
Yeah.
honey. Honey, we don't want it.
I bet.
No.
I bet.
And then it's gonna be 70 next Tuesday. So
Yeah, this is how
I
isn't it
know.
something?
it's
Yeah.
bipolar weather.
I know.
The Midwest, I tell you. Yes.
Yes, but welcome to the Midwest.
Yeah.
Now we can leave. No.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can I take the ticket to where's
Right?
my ticket out of here?
Yeah.
So what's going on,
Hey,
Chris?
I already invited you guys down.
Oh, that's
So
right,
you
you
know where
have.
to go.
Okay.
Many times
Yeah,
she has.
when we stop through Missouri, we're gonna hit up Chris. That's for sure.
We are.
You
Yes.
better believe it.
Yes,
You better
indeed.
believe it.
Yes.
So how's life? How's life, Chris?
Life is going good. Life is going good. Things are going smoothly, and I am fine with that.
That's awesome. So how is the COVID situation where you are?
Actually, it's doing a lot better.
Okay.
We are having a lot less COVID patients, and I believe right now for the hospital that I work for, we have 0 patients in the hospital with COVID.
That's
for the first time.
That's amazing.
Thank you for
started.
being on the front lines too,
Yes.
putting yourself out there
Oh.
like that. We appreciate
Thank
that.
you for saying that.
Oh,
I
no
appreciate that.
problem. I
We
know it's
appreciate
hard.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to
Yeah.
be hard to make that. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be able to wake up and say I'm gonna go put myself there. But I appreciate those who do, especially
Every day.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
I mean, at first it really kind of wasn't a choice because you just kind of had to jump in and do it or leave.
Yes,
You really
it's your
didn't
job.
Well, there's
have
still
an
a choice.
in-between.
There's still a choice, though. You could have
Well,
said,
that's right. That's right.
F this, right? You could have just went home and found a new job or waited till things clear
Exactly.
and
You're a
reapply.
superhero.
But
Own the
to-
cave.
Yeah,
That's what
but
we're saying.
to
Put the
take that
cape on.
initiative,
You
yeah, for sure.
My mom really pushed hard.
Yeah.
My husband a little bit, but my mom pushed hard for me to just momentarily set it aside. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And, the more someone tells me not to do something is when I do it.
You're like me.
We share that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder we get
I
along.
think we're
Yeah,
all alike
really.
in that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody tells me that, I'm like,
That's
"Look,
me.
I'm so gonna do it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thank
Me
you
too.
so
Yeah.
much. Well,
So that's
You're a superhero.
That's kind of how it is. But I don't regret it because I've learned a lot through it, as you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's what's going on down here. Other than that,
give us a common fear that people shouldn't really consider. Like I know there's stuff out here we hear every day, and what's something
about COVID?
Yeah, that they shouldn't really, because like our last caller, he's really skeptical about getting the vaccine and with the research involved and thinking that, I mean, it is funny, but really people are saying they don't want to grow a third nipple or turn into the Walking Dead. Or so what is some of those fears that you've actually been on the front line? What can you tell them? Because obviously you've been next to COVID patients and you're still COVID free, right? So how is it? So what are some of those fears that you can kind of calm for some of our listeners?
Well, I can't say that it's not contagious because it's very contagious. Sure. As to why it's more contagious than the flu and stuff like that, I have no idea. There's still a lot of unknowns that haven't been answered yet. Yeah. But to be honest, like we've probably heard over and over again that there hasn't been that much flu.
Yeah.
So that could be due to masks. Other people could disagree, and I get that. But to be honest, I really believe that as long as you have good hygiene, good hand washing skills, and just common sense, please, people, just common sense.
That's the key.
Then you're going to be okay. And also, I'm one of them. I'll include myself. If you take care of your body,
sure,
and your mind, along with that, if you take care of your body, even if you've never done it before and you want to do it now. You know, you want to start taking that vitamin C. You want to start walking, doing exercise. Now's a good time to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Never too late.
Because, never too late.
The fitter you are,
the better you treat.
The stronger your body will be to fight. And that's not to say that, fit people don't die from COVID. They do, but it's just preparing our temple. Preparing our temple for anything that's out there that's coming our way.
Yes, our bodies are temple. And that's something that more than ever, I completely agree because, I've been following a lot of, these really popular doctors, and there's got to be something to it, and they are people who have actually done the studies and gone through the motions for everybody else to follow suit. And it's free. It's all on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the better way to go. But I think also is, people don't stop loving on your family. Don't stop loving on your friends. Just do it carefully, because when you have that lack of love, we're going to go down a really bad rabbit hole with this.
So let me ask you. So Chris, let me ask you a question, because speaking of love and relationships, how was your partner, because I know you're married, with you coming home? Because I would be like, you work in the hospital, you're around COVID all day.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not going to kiss you tonight, honey.
Well,
how was your partner with that?
So in the beginning, when it first happened, say March, April, maybe until the beginning of May of last year, wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. And it wasn't just myself. It was, we literally had to either strip down at the office or strip down at home before we even got through the front door.
Yeah.
And we would have to take all of our clothes, bag them and all that. And he did make a little pod. If I got COVID, I'm like, oh, I'm not going in there.
Honey, like, I think I'd throw you in the basement. I might just say, go in the basement.
He did.
There's a separate door. I'm just saying.
He was extremely fearful.
I would be fearful. I think I would have been too.
And I think a lot of other people went through the same situation, because we didn't know if it was sticking to our earrings, to our rings, to our watches. We didn't know what was going on.
Right. I remember watching the cardboard cereal boxes. I'm like, oh, what the freak am I doing here? Does this even really work?
Yeah.
And that was annoying.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was bad.
It was really
bad. But now.
Yeah, now.
Oh, honey, that's not the case now.
We know so much more, right? That it's not living on cardboard boxes. Again, it was information that they didn't know about, and now we know it. So,
And so now that's, that's how it is.
Yeah. So that causes a lot of stress on relationships. So did you talk about this, and how did you work it all out? Boundaries?
I had to reason with him with common sense, trying to speak in a way that he could understand the medical terms, because of course not everyone's going to understand the medical terms, and why should you? So you have to be able to parlay it back to him and go, this is how it works. This is what I'm going to do for you, so that, I don't get you sick. Because to be honest, I could get anybody sick, couldn't I?
Right.
Anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't have to be my husband.
Right.
My mom was scared.
Yeah.
Couldn't go around mom.
Yeah.
But, to be honest, it's everything that's on your hands that then goes to your face, except your ear.
Yeah.
The minute you touch your eyes, you touch your nose, you touch your
Everything
mouth.
that goes inside.
And
right.
like you said, that cardboard box of cereal, if you went and you touched
Don't be
it.
licking that cardboard box.
Right.
Chris,
Who licks the box?
Ew.
But
Imagine people doing that.
I hope not.
I hope not.
That's so gross.
Just saying, in case anybody was doing it, I just want to say it's not a good idea.
Right. Not.
But you're making a lot of sense in that you had a straight up conversation and you outlined the boundaries, and that's what we have to do. Talk about it and talk about the physical boundaries in that
communication.
situation. Yeah,
Sure.
Communication, but common sense.
Yeah, but
really,
you
got to use common
But
sense.
Chris,
here.
some people don't have a lot of common sense.
Oh, honey, I know.
That's why I'm highlighting it.
That's true.
I know. And to this day, they still don't.
It should be called uncommon sense. It's not very common.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for real.
We should make a T-shirt. I have uncommon sense. Do you?
I'm making one.
There you go.
Yep,
That's a new T-shirt.
I'm making one.
Uncommon sense. Hey, I'm
Uncommon
gonna patent that shit.
Yeah.
I just made a new motto for you guys. There you go.
Uncommon sense.
Yeah, for
Anyway,
real.
Thank
It's
you.
true,
But
though.
Yep. Sorry.
what I forgot to mention in all of our other conversations that we had, we actually made national news where I live.
Oh.
Did you? Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
On CNN.
Sorry, I missed it.
Because
what happened?
Well, because of the meat packing factories.
Oh.
That's true.
They didn't close down.
Right, but
there was a presidential mandate to keep them open.
That. Okay,
right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I
That's
did
what happened. So
we did have a shortage of chicken and beef back last year. Yeah, so it plays a part.
That's kind of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
So you're famous.
I might as well be.
Your state is famous for that.
Vegan.
Missouri.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the people that worked in that packing factory, they got sick quite a bit.
They got sick.
Yeah,
it's not funny.
Yeah.
It totally sucks.
No.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's just, common sense. And like you guys said, it could happen to anybody. Uncommon sense.
Uncommon sense. Thank you for helping us come up with that term.
That's
so
awesome.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris, for always supporting and sharing your story. And you are a superhero, girl.
Yes, you are.
Superhero for being on the front lines.
You guys, thanks so much.
No, you are.
Thank you.
We absolutely need to thank everybody who, initially was confronted with this physically and emotionally and took it home with them, where we could just quarantine and not have to deal with it if we didn't have to, right? So thank you so much, all the doctors and nurses and technicians and everybody who works in the hospital. Superheroes. Anybody who works in the hospital.
That's a brave soul.
Thank you.
Yes, Chris.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yes.
No
and
problem.
thank you for calling, always supporting, sister.
Yes.
Love you.
Oh, I gotcha. I love you guys too, and just have a really good evening.
Thank you,
too.
honey.
Take care, Chris.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye, honey.
All right, that was Chris.
Superhero.
Calling in. Yes, a superhero on the front lines, putting herself out there. I couldn't do it. I give it to him, though. I mean, doctors, period, when it comes to either medical doctors or even yourself being a therapist, just to take time for others that way, to really want to wake up and listen to people and deal with that. I appreciate you guys, because we do need you, even though we sometimes say we don't, but we do.
We all do.
Yeah, of course.
I always think everybody should have a therapist. No shame in that.
Well,
honestly.
Of course you would. You get paid. But...
I'm not getting paid today.
Well, today, but I'm saying that of course you want clients.
No. Even when I was in school, I should say when I was in school doing my graduate degree, when I decided to do all this, I had to go for my own therapy. And I remember, talking with my supervisor, thinking, what? I don't need to go for therapy. Like, well, it's part of the mandate. So I remember sitting in front of my shrink and thinking, I don't need to be here. And I really said to him, I don't need to be here. I'm only here for didactic purposes, which is learning, education. And he just looked at me, okay, honey, have a seat.
Right.
6 years later, 2 times a week, it was the best experience I've ever had in my life. And if I had not left Montreal, I'd probably still be seeing him today.
Awesome.
And yeah, there's no shame, no stigma. It's just a place where you can go to talk about whatever you need to talk about without shame, without judgment. Imagine that. And then nobody would know anything about it.
True. When you put it like that, it sounds kind of fun, but yeah, the stigma around
the
it.
stigma around it is, but it is
and
getting
the anticipation of
what's going to come out.
Be, like if I do this, I'm branded as some mental patient because I have to go to therapy.
That's the problem. It's not a mental patient situation.
Right.
It's working on yourself, and I always say from the inside out, and we can all use some help. It's okay.
Sure.
You don't have to be mental. I just don't like that word mental.
Why not?
It's mental health.
Right. Mental health, not just mental.
Not just mental.
Right. We can get mental, but
we're all mental, We need the healthy part.
To some extent, yeah, right. We're all
different
mental.
level of stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
It's the best experience ever.
But yeah, I mean, I guess give it a shot, right? They always tell you, like with food, try it first. If you don't like it, don't try it again. So
and therapy is not fattening.
Yeah,
it actually makes you shed some
calories.
mental weight. Shed that mental weight, guys.
Right, because that could be a heavy burden, couldn't it?
It's usually a heavy burden on your body and mind.
Sure, which all plays into the rest of your health, I guess, too, right? Yeah. Well, that's what's up. It's some interesting callers. Thank you guys for calling in.
Thank you guys for calling in. It's always more fun when people participate and call in.
For sure.
And share their stories.
We appreciate you. And did we have any other topics we wanted to go over?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about something else, or bring it to? What are we? How's the time?
We're a little over. I mean, we can. If anybody did, I don't see anybody else calling that was trying earlier. I apologize to those that we
might have missed some, but
we definitely.
But it was exciting to have all those calls.
It was. It was fun.
Thank you guys for doing that. Yes. But maybe wrapping it up, I kind of, I want people to think about the assumptions that they make based on what they see. Such as this hat. Oh my God, it's red.
Right.
So one of my missions is to change the association of this hat. We don't always have to think about Trump when we see a red hat.
I don't think it's just because it's red. It's not just a red hat. Yeah, it's the way it's laid out. It's a red trucker hat.
Yeah.
With
just like yours, but yours is not red.
No, mine isn't a trucker. See, this is a snapback. You got to get your lingo down,
I don't know
lady.
my hats very well.
You got to get your lingo. That's a snapback too, but that's a trucker snapback.
All right, okay.
And then it has the way the words are laid out. You specifically have.
Of course I did.
There's a view going on here. So I don't just see a red hat and go, what the fuck? I see that specific style hat and go, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a play on words.
But however, read it first. Once I read it
and
saw what you were doing, it makes perfect sense, right? We shouldn't just jump to
it's
a
helping
conclusion.
people to realize, and sometimes, it's a blind spot that we have. And I would say, actually, we all have blind spots, and we make assumptions and we jump to certain conclusions, and we really need to stop ourselves from doing that.
Sure.
Because along with that comes all the judgments about people, and then along with that comes, I don't like that person.
Right.
And I'm thinking, you don't even know that person. And if somebody did write something on, which was kind of obnoxious, but that's okay. I was expecting that from my post, and I have strong shoulders, and my ego doesn't really get bruised up easily.
Girl.
Yeah, seriously. So I think that, I said, okay, you don't know anything about. Apparently, I'm not for freedom of speech, and I don't love America. Because I kind of insinuated,
because of it.
Yeah,
that's a little far.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to point out. This person knows nothing about me except for what they see on social media. But because of this one post, apparently, I'm not for America.
Yeah, I think Paul said it, right? People were saying you were evil. Really evil?
No, but so that I'm like, thank you for proving my point. That was the whole point of my post. So the post was, in my view, successful because I had people who did that.
Right.
And the people are like, oh, I got it. Thanks, Anita.
And you were calling out the assumption side of things.
It was fun. Play on words. Sometimes,
it's good. Switch it up a little bit.
Switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a teaching and a learning moment through having some fun, which is message. Yeah.
There you go. Right. You're giving them a message.
So stop before you make the assumption.
Stop before you make assumptions, guys. We'll leave it right there. That's a perfect way to start your Monday. Stop before you make assumptions. Don't do it. And you might just be a little better for it. And whatever you're involved in may come out a little better, because when you start a fight over something like that, is it
not
really
worth it?
Right.
And you know that I know that people and families have been fighting over
Oh
this.
my goodness.
And I'm thinking, what are you fighting for? He's gone. You think he wrecked his family for all this stuff?
And
I don't think so, right?
I mean,
come on, people.
Yeah, who knows? Right. The true reason behind what it was done for or whatever, right. But you shouldn't be
don't wreck your lives.
Yeah, come on, guys. I mean, I don't think it's worth it at all. But
the
for
Facebook
some it's worth it, because the way people were speaking, I'm all for you agreeing with your side or your party. We had this discussion on another show where we want these alliances, so we feel like we're just blue and they're red. But no, I mean, I'll listen to the other side as long as we can have a
civil conversation.
Yes, thank you. And
respectful.
Yes, and if you keep it that way, that's fine. But when you get online or anywhere in that matter, and you're being disrespectful, and you're being racist, that type of shit will get you blocked, even if you're family. I will leave you alone for that. Just because you may support the person, that's fine. But when you start supporting ideals like racism and hatred and bigotry, now you're getting, to me, that's over the line of being civil and having a political conversation.
Hence the message on the hat, which is make your relationships great again.
And make them great, guys. Their relationship should be beautiful. You spend a lot of time with the person you choose to be a partner with. Why make it a war? Right?
Talk it out.
The War of the Roses. Go watch that movie. It was a pretty good one.
Swinging on a chandelier, falling and dying.
I know, right? And then drinking a magic potion.
I want some
Another show. I bet you do. No, I'm not. I'm kidding.
Gino.
I didn't want to go there. You set yourself up.
All right. Sorry, honey. Thank you,
but
guys.
we're good, guys. Don't assume, and make your relationships great again, please. We want some love. We see a lot of angry people out there, and get back to the loving, guys.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's all good to love. It's okay. You're not soft because you love someone or want to make a relationship great, guys. Especially for me talking to the fellas. Don't think that it's a soft thing to love. All right. It's cool to have love. It's cool to say you love somebody. I know guys that I ain't saying that shit. Well, come on. Be real.
You're gonna lose out in the end. No one else.
All right. So let's do it, guys. Let's practice it. Have a safe week. We will be back Wednesday live with Anita. As always, she is here for you and for everyone that needs any sort of conversation. We will take your calls. We will get you in. Thank you so much to those who did call and were a part of the show today.
Thank you.
We appreciate all of you.
For those who don't know, you can follow me on Instagram, Ask Anita Astley.
Yes, please do it, guys. Follow her. Go to F.M.P. Radio for YouTube. You can see the links and the show there as well. If you missed it on IG and want to go back and rewatch, please do so. But we appreciate you all. Have a great, safe week. And make sure you wear your mask. So stand 6 feet apart. Wash your hands, as Chris said. Use common sense.
Or you're uncommon. But can I just say something before we go off here? I want to thank Gino because he makes all of this happen. I just sit here and blah, blah, blah.
Hey, it's okay.
But, he puts all of this stuff together, and I really appreciate that, Gino. Thank you.
I got one.
Sending some love.
Thank you. I feel it. It's warm. I love it. All right, guys, you have a good one. We'll get you back to the music, but thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you soon. But be good, be safe, and always stay woke. All right, guys?
Woke.
Let's go.
Thank you.
F.M.P. Radio. We keep it 100.